Thank you very much, Malam Nuribadu. Now, let me go back to Malam Shekarau. Power, of course, is just one of the infrastructural issues we have in Nigeria. There are many others. We have issues with roads. People die regularly on our roads. The impact of roads means also goods and services. People are not able to move freely and as they should. Air travel is perhaps one of the safest ways to move things in Nigeria now, but of course we know that is very expensive. I'd like to get a sense of what your party and you as president will do to sort of address the other infrastructural problems in Nigeria.
Well, I think the general problem of provision of infrastructure in Nigeria is not necessarily about the planning of what is required and what Nigerians would like to see. It is the same problem of lack of sincerity and commitment to service. We've just heard from my colleagues how much the amount of billions of dollars that the federal government, the PDP government, has sunk into the power and the energy sector, and nothing to show about it. The services are not there. Nobody has accounted for the money. I think the same goes with the road infrastructure and most of the other infrastructure. When we come on board, given the chance, we are going to ensure sincerity of purpose and commitment to the service of the people and judicious management of resources. If I may give you an example quickly, this morning before I left Kano, I commissioned 150 million liters of water per day, the biggest in West Africa, and we learned there is a PDP state in Nigeria today executing the same project of the same magnitude, has so far spent 20 billion and is still not completed.
Now, if I understand it correctly, though, that project that you've made a reference to is not operating at full capacity.
It's not?
It's not operating at full capacity. That is my understanding.
No. It is not operating full capacity because of the failure of the energy, the power. We haven't enough power to mobilize all the 4 big pumps. We have to be alternating the pumps. We haven't the power to do that. We've bought generators, new generators are there, that they're not strong enough. We're now trying to tap from the major line that has passed through the state. We've taken permission from the late President Eradu has given us. We're spending over ₦1 billion to make the water works work. We've spent 6 billion naira to give people of Kano 150 million liters of water, but because of our inability to ensure a regular and reliable source of energy, we're not getting the best and the maximum services of this water supply. So all I'm saying is that most of the problem of this infrastructural provision in Nigeria is not that we haven't the human capacity, we haven't the personnel to do it. It is the problem of insincerity and corrupt practices that go into this system, and is one of the things that we will be sure to check. And if you want to succeed in the implementation of any program, I give 5 cardinal major points. Number 1, there must be sincerity of purpose. Number 2, there must be proper planning. Number 3, you must get the right people to implement your program. Number 4, there must be judicious management of the resources. And finally, exemplary leadership in the people.
Thank you very much, Malam Shekarau. Now, I want to stay a little bit longer on the economy, and General Muhammadu Buhari, I'd like you to tell Nigerians what you would do to correct the anomaly that we see in the Nigerian budget. We just had a budget passed in which recurrent expenditure takes a disproportionate amount compared to capital expenditure. And a few months back, there was a big row because the CBN governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, brought this to the fore. If you are the president of Nigeria, how will you tackle this anomaly?
I think we have to go back to First Republic and start a 5-year development plan. Our state of development and the infrastructural requirement to create employment and wealth, I think cannot be done on ad hoc basis. The poverty and the disease that are so prevalent in Nigerian society is very disappointing. To put the economy correct, we have to do the infrastructure. And we are talking about power. We have to get power, get the factories open, we get people employed, and we get the goods and services. Power is central to getting the industries once more and getting people employed.
Thank you very much, General Buhari. But I want to follow this a little bit further, because issues of recurrent expenditure are to do with over-bloated salaries of civil servants and public servants giving themselves allowances, of legislators that basically sit in the House and they get a budget and they decide they want to add a little bit more to it. And while I understand what you're saying about the Nigerian economy, these are some of the other problems. How will you deal with those things?
Well, I have already made a statement about that I will have to persuade Nigerian legislators to accept much less. Because, well, I said I will persuade them when I become the president. I think it's almost immoral where a Nigerian legislature is earning more than the president of the United States.
Thank you very much, General Buhari.
Yes.
Malam Nuri Badu, how will you correct this anomaly?
As the president of Nigeria, I will change it.
How?
I will make sure, because I make the budgets, I send it to the National Assembly. It is my government, though I work with the National Assembly, but it is our responsibility as a president and the team that you have will lead and then give the direction and the economic chart of the country.
What if they refuse?
I will insist that the resources, the money that we have, will go to growth and development, not just to continue to service government. It is not right. It's not possible for you to continue to take 75% of what you have and continue to just run government. How do I do it? Simple. Today, in this country, you have over 500 agencies and parastatals. We do not need them. We will reduce them. We will make them in a way that they do not have to tell us. We do intend to also redirect the economy to the private sector, concessioning, get the private sector to participate.
I'm afraid I've been told that your time is up. I'd like you to take a stab at that question, please, Malam Shekara.
Major problems. Number one is the issue of several leakages along the line, fraud going on. I'm happy my brother Nuhu Ribadu has said there are a lot of multiplication of agencies. With all due respect, I want to say that the agency he headed was one of the agencies that we need not to have, because, you see, I've held the view that federal government has been creating agencies for selfish interest. The EFCC, the ICPC are glorified police stations, because they, if you had pondered the activities of the police, I once heard my brother on TV one day saying, when he was asked, what is the miracle of your performance? He said he had all he wanted in terms of funding. Have you funded the Nigerian police and they have failed to perform? Give them the funding. If you had funded them, they would be able to work. So there are a lot of wastages. We are creating agencies we do not require. And then secondly,
thank you very much, Malam Shekara. I'm afraid I have to stop you. Thank you. Okay. Now, I'd like to, at this stage of the competition, begin to take questions from members of our audience who've actually written and sent little scripts, and also some of our sponsors. This particular question comes from one of the foundations that supported this debate, the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Basically, the question says, I want to know what the candidates will do to promote entrepreneurship if elected into office. And I'm happy for any one of you to start.